Great start to 2017. I look dead. Oh wow. Okay, we'll go with it. Hey guys, it's Leigh, and today I'm going to be doing a what I read in 2016, or like my year in books. I mean, I only read 50, but I will let you in on a little secret. I had 8 books to read in the last 2 weeks, and I left 4 of them until the 31st of December. And you know what? I did it. I completed my Goodreads challenge of 50. I've set it again at 50 this year, but I'm aiming to get like more towards 75. Like I want to read more than 50 books. But I'm not putting it to 75 because I know that with starting university in autumn, there is no way I'm going to read 75 books. But we're going to try for over 50. Anyway, there are a lot of books, so if you want like a proper insider review or like how I properly felt about these books and when exactly I read them, check out my website. I will leave it here, or you can click the link in the description. I'm just literally just going to be telling you the titles of these and what I rated them out of 5. I've got my website up right now because I can't be bothered like going on Goodreads. If I reviewed any of these books, they will be linked down below. Untamed, House of Night, Book 4 by PC and Kristen Cast. Hunted, House of Night, Book 5 by PC and Kristen Cast. Tempted, House of Night, Book 6 by PC and Kristen Cast. There's a theme here. There's a definite theme here. Burned, House of Night, Book 7 by PC and Kristen Cast. I gave Untamed, Tempted and Burned 3 out of 5, but for some reason gave Hunted 5 out of 5. I don't know what was so special about that book, I can't remember. I don't know, looking back on it though, I think I might change it to like a 3. I've kind of grown to hate the series. 13 Weddings by Paige Toon, this was a 3 out of 5. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, this was a 2 out of 5. I did enjoy the book, it was just I predicted the ending and then I hated myself because I didn't want it to be the ending, and then I did get to the ending and then I cried, and the awful book, I hate it, but it was so good. City of Bones, Book 1 in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I gave this a 4 out of 5 because it was a reread. Dragon Shield, Book 1 in the Dragon Shield trilogy by Charlie Fletcher. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I did. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Book 1 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. I gave this 5 stars. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Philosopher's Stone. Book 1 in the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. Obviously I gave this 5 stars. None of this sorcerer's business. Philosophers. Got it? Okay. Should we move on? Good. Philosophers. Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I gave this 4 out of 5. Oh god. Oh god. We're running out of space. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Chbosky. I gave this 4 out of 5. Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer, the first book in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series by Rick Riordan. I gave this 5 out of 5. The Hunger Games trilogy, which contains The Hunger Games, Catching Fire and Mockingjay, all by Suzanne Collins. I gave this one a 4, this one a 5, and this one a 5. I don't think I liked the first book because I'd seen the film first, but then I hadn't seen the films of these two before I read them. So maybe that's why. But I did really enjoy them, and I read them in a weekend during exams, so I mean, I was pretty into them. Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I gave this 5 stars. The Maze Runner by James Dashner, Book 1 in the Maze Runner trilogy. I gave this a 4, but if you were following me throughout the year, then you know that it took me like 2 months to read. 2 months? 2 months to read. I wanted to shoot myself in the face. It was a reread. I wasn't even in a reading slump. The book was just annoying. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I gave this 5 stars because it was really like heartfelt. And I really enjoyed it. I'm very generous with my stars, aren't I? But then if I hate a book, you'll know about it. The Summer I Turned Pretty, Summer Book 1 by Jenny Han. I gave this 4 stars on Goodreads, but it was more of like a 3.5. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, Book 1 in the Red Queen series. I gave this a 5 because it's amazing and I freaking love this book. Throne of Glass, Book 1 in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this a 5 as well. Who's excited for Queen of Shadows TV show? What even was that? I'd Tell You I Love You But Then I'd Have to Kill You, Book 1 in the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter. I gave this 4 stars, but I didn't continue with the series. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm too old for it. Does that make sense? Looking for Alaska by John Green. I gave this 3 stars because it was kind of predictable and I didn't really like how it ended. I felt like it just wrapped up too quickly. Not one of his best, but I still enjoyed the book. The Selection, book 1 in the Selection series by Kira Cass. I gave this 5 stars, and everybody says that this series gets worse as you keep reading. I was like, if I put 5 stars now, are they just gonna go down and down and down and down? We'll see, because I get to the second book in a bit. But I enjoyed this book. Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, book 1 in the Uglies trilogy. I gave this 4 stars because I was really excited to continue reading the next book, but I didn't. I liked how this book was, and I was like, if I read the next book, am I just gonna hate the trilogy? Like, is that how this is gonna go? Because it feels like I'd hate the next couple of books. I don't know why. Does anyone else ever feel like that when you read like a really good first book and you're like, the rest of the series is just gonna ruin it, I'm just gonna stop here? That's how I felt. That's how I still feel. Crown of Midnight, book 2 in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I gave this 5 stars. Heir of Fire, book 3 in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I gave this 4 stars because I felt like it kind of started to drag. But it didn't feel as wow as the rest of them. Not that every other Throne of Glass book has jazz hands in it. Moving on. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by John Tiffany. Technically, on Goodreads, it says it's book 8, but if we were rating it as book 8 of the Harry Potter series, I'd give it like a 3. If we're rating it as its own entity, then I'd give it a 5, because I really enjoyed it. I really want to go see it live. I think that it is an amazing book on its own, but because it's not JK, and because it's not actual, like, Harry Potter, because it's more like a fan fiction, I'd give it a 3 when you compare it to the original books. But it's a 5 as it stands on its own, as its own little creation. As it stands with the original 7, it's a terrible continuation. However, unlike the original 7 books, I don't think I'll be rereading it anytime soon, and I'm probably only going to reread it when I'm reading it to my children. So I'll see you in a decade, old chum. A Court of Thorns and Roses, book 1 in A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I gave this 5 stars. However, I'm gonna take a star away from every single one of Sarah J Maas's books for every title that I cannot pronounce. Do you know how long it took me to be able to get around this tongue twister as A Court of Thorns and Roses, book 1 in A Court of Thorns and Roses, like no. Sarah, I know you just announced the title of the 3rd book in the series, but can you please make book 4 like just a little bit smaller, because my mouth cannot cope. Apart from that, it's a wonderful book and I loved it. The Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, book 2 by Rick Riordan. I gave that one 5 stars. The 3rd book in the series, The Titan's Curse, I gave 4 stars. The 4th book in the series, The Battle of the Labyrinth, I gave 5 stars. And the 5th and final book in the series, The Last Olympian, I also gave 5 stars. But I read them as audiobooks, so I don't have them to hold. The Elite, book 2 in the Selection series by Kira Cass. I gave this 4 stars. So yes, it did get 1 less star than the other book, but I don't feel like it was worse, and I don't feel like the series is getting worse. I think I gave it 4 stars because I kind of predicted the opening to this book after the last one, and then I was kind of disappointed that it was that predictable, but I haven't made any predictions for the next book, and hopefully I'll love it. The Children Act by Ian McEwan. I gave this one 3 stars. It was a recommended book by my law teacher and I borrowed it from the library, so here's the cover. Highly recommend it to anybody studying law or thinking about studying law in England and Wales, because it actually does refer to a lot of real life cases and it's a pretty damn good book, and it just kind of shows you how the judicial circuit works. It's good. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children, book 1 by Ransom Riggs. Another person who needs to shorten their titles. I mean, he does after this book, but you know what I mean. The Syndicate, book 1 in the Time Wave series by Sophie Davis. I got it free as an ebook for review, and if you want to read my review, check my website. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. And I cannot wait for Atlic, which is book 2, to come out this fall. I say fall for book releases, but I call it autumn everywhere else, so this fall, I'm so English, right? High School Hit List by Authoress. I found it on Wattpad and it was on Goodreads, so I was like, adding it to the list. I gave it 5 stars. It was pretty freaking fantastic and not as predictable as I thought originally. It was actually so good. Rebel of the Sands, book 1 of Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. I gave this 5 stars. It was pretty fantastic. Can't wait to read the next book. Cinder, book 1 in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I gave this 4 stars. I originally read it as an audiobook, felt like it was a bit better as a physical book because I could like visualize things a bit easier, but still 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars originally, so still 4 stars, still just as good as it was the first time round. Landline by Rainbow Rowell. I gave this 3 out of 5. It started off quite slow and then it was like, okay, pick up the pace, and then like somebody just slammed on the brakes and I was like, dude, what? Still a good book, still recommend you read it. I just wasn't feeling it. The Hammer of Thor, book 2 in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series by Rick Riordan. I freaking loved this book and gave it 5 stars, but that is mainly, I wasn't rating the book as 5 stars, I was rating Alex Fierro as 5 stars. Just saying, still up for marrying her if anybody can make her real or can find a person who is identical in real life, because I would like to marry her, please, and have babies with her. Glass Sword, book 2 in the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. Look how amazing my book looks. Can we just take a moment to appreciate? Look at that! I gave this 5 stars and I absolutely freaking loved the book, but the ending made me cry. Like, no spoilers, but just get some tissues ready and be prepared to have your heart ripped out of your chest. We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler, somebody else who needs to shorten the titles of their books. There's so many long titles. I think it's just that my tongue doesn't function. I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads, but it was actually a 2.5. I started reading this on the plane back from Cuba. That is how much I hated this book. It took me months to get around to it, and the only reason why I finished it was because I didn't want to have any DNFs for 2016, so I made myself read it. From a psychology student's point of view, it is good because it relates to like so many things that I'm learning currently in psychology, like all of these like animal rights things. But the plot twist comes a little bit too soon. Now onto the books that I read in the last day. Look at them. They're all tiny as heck. I wanted to finish, okay? Chamber of Secrets, book 2 in the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I gave this 5 stars because it's Harry Potter and I freaking love Harry Potter. The Tales of Beedle the Bud by J.K. Rowling from the Hogwarts Library. I gave this 3 stars. And then we have book 2 and 3 from Kernoland. Darkness Days, An Invasion of Evil. These books were like amazing in my childhood, and I actually got to meet the author and have my book signed once at school and once in Waterstones the next day. I was a little bit obsessed with this series, so I thought, why not reread them? How long has this been down? Okay, oops. But yes, that is it for this week's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing every single book I read in 2016, and hopefully there's more of them next year, although I don't know how that's gonna work. But we'll try, we'll work something out. What happens if I have like 75 books to pick up? I don't know. That'll just be a really long video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up. As always, the links will be down in the description, so make sure you go follow me, subscribe, and all jazz. See you next time with a brand new video. Ciao! Mwah!